Our continued focus, of course, on demonetization, remonetization and its impact on our lives. The Bharat Interface for Money, or the BHIM app, which was launched by our Prime Minister, is being touted as the solution to all of the problems that we are facing right now as we move to a less cash economy. Now, this app was launched on the 31st of December with the promise of faster, easier, safer digital transactions. Now, just to bring it to your notice, the government has told us 10 million downloads of BHIM is what has been achieved so far. It's gone straight to the top of the Google Play Store, and it seems to be extremely popular. We wanted to find out, A, how it works, and if it really is as popular as it seems.
This is the BHIM app. And there we open the BHIM app, and it says that all the payments are done using secure network. All the money goes directly into your bank account instantly. And it will take about a minute and a half to move to the next page and verify the number. 90 seconds to download, and it is now asking for a passcode. So to make a payment to someone, we choose the option send on our phones. Now, only if the person to whom we are making the payment has his number registered on BHIM or has the BHIM app himself, then we can put in his mobile number or his payment address here. In case that is not the case, then we need to click on account plus IFSC code. 100 rupee payment into that account. We now enter the UPI PIN once again, and we are waiting for the payment to go across. So the money has successfully been sent to the person we were making the payment, and we made a payment of 100 rupees through this app, which happened in no time.
So actually we are not using that, we are only stick to Paytm till now, and we are looking forward to try the BHIM app also.
Yes, I did, and it has got excellent features, and I have been using Paytm and M-Pesa as well, but the app launched by Mr. Narendra Modi, obviously he is doing something for the country, so it's a great app, and we have started using it.
Absolutely, the app which has been provided is good in terms of the features with the latest techniques and technology. Yes, and good way forward for the Indian digitalization, so hoping that it will do more. So
I haven't really tried the app yet, so I'm still using Paytm and M-Pesa. I still have to try it. Let's see. I'm hoping that it should be a good app.
I have used it. It is good. It's need to be upgraded a bit. It's too slow.
आधे तो लोगों को 85% तो अनपढ़ लोग हैं. अब मास अपना मोबाइल जो होता है स्क्रीन टच बहुत से लोग के पास नहीं है. पहले मोदी जी वो दिलाए.
जो ऐप स्टार्ट किया है उसमें होना चाहिए जो भी है आगे, और मैं खुद भी उसमें इंटरेस्टेड हूँ.
That app is so nice because उसमें अभी तो कोई दिक्कत आई नहीं है, किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आया.
No, right now I have not started using it. I have to download the app.
उनका जो इम्प्लीमेंट है अभी तक BHIM ऐप का, वो तो मोदी साहब के शेड्यूल में ही है. अभी तक उसका इम्प्लीमेंट हुआ नहीं है.
और आप BHIM ऐप यूज़ करते हो?
कौन सा?
BHIM ऐप जो PM मोदी ने लॉन्च किया.
हाँ, करते.
कैसे लग रहा है आपको?
अच्छा है वो.
किसके लिए यूज़ करते हो आप?
अपने शॉप के लिए.
हाँ. अच्छा है.
अच्छा है.
सब लोग पे कर रहे हैं.
सब Paytm से पे हो रहा है, उससे भी हो रहा है, सबसे हो रहा है.
मेरे पास तो Paytm भी है, ठीक है, मेरे पास खुद के पास स्वैप मशीन है, सारी चीज़ें हैं, नहीं ऐसे नहीं है. अभी तो मेरे पास चालू भी है, वो सारी चीज़ें हो रहा है, वो अच्छा भी हो रहा है, मगर उसके ऊपर कुछ गवर्नमेंट का एक रेगुलर चाहिए. आज किया कल छोड़ दिया, ऐसा नहीं चाहिए उस चीज़ को.
नहीं सुना है लेकिन इंस्टॉल नहीं किया है. ऐसे कोई कस्टमर आ रहा नहीं है जो BHIM रिलेटेड पेमेंट करे या BHIM रिलेटेड कुछ हो. जो आते हैं सब कार्ड वाले आते हैं. Paytm भी कम हो गया है, हार्डली कोई आता है. जो आता है सब क्रेडिट कार्ड या डेबिट कार्ड वाले ही आते हैं.
Online is a couple of other things which you can do direct transactions. So I haven't used it. That's all.
I don't know actually. So I have to just check out and I will do that.
No, maybe. I have not seen yet.
Yeah, but it's not working. Still I have it. So it's not working.
Yeah, I started using.
Okay. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's convenient and it's very safe.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how it is useful for all common people.
I'm not very computer savvy or tech savvy, so I have not made an attempt. I really don't know what this is all about.
I've never heard about it. What is a BHIM app, by the way?
Well, those are responses that we got from across the country this afternoon as our reporters went out asking people if they've been using the BHIM app and what they think of it. The question that we're asking on the debate this evening is the BHIM app really the solution for the problems that we're facing right now as we transit from a cashed economy to a less cash economy? Is the BHIM app the perfect design? And is it the answer to our question? Sanjay Jha, spokesperson of the Congress Party, joins us, as does Hitesh Jain, BJP leader and advocate. Viren Shah, president of the Federation of Retail Traders Welfare Association, will represent all of the shopkeepers and the shop owners and tell us if it's actually making a difference to him. Ritesh Bhatia is a cyber security expert. Vijay Mukhi is an author and a cybersecurity expert. Abhimanyu Radhakrishnan, editor of networkedindia.com. And Bala Parthasarathy is the CEO and the co-founder of MoneyTap, joining us from Bangalore. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I want to point out, though, that several of the reviews that we found online and on various television channels pointed out, quite rightly, that the app is of a very simple design, it's very easy to use, and it's extremely intuitive. So that seems like a given. I'll start with Bala Parthasarathy. Bala, you've been through the app, obviously. Give me your review. Is it the answer to our transition into a less cash system?
I don't know if it's the answer, but it's definitely one of the multiple choice answers for sure. And frankly, I'm quite amazed, even though I've been in the digital world for the last 25 years, the government actually getting the app right in the first try. So I would say a big congratulations to various people at NPCI who I know work very, very hard to pull this off. I do, however, have 2 or 3 requests. First of all, the app is very slow at times and it has to work. And given it's only 10 days since launch, it's understandable, but they should quickly rally and fix it. Otherwise, people will stop using it and uninstall it, which is a big problem with apps. But as we go along, I would love to comment on a few other things I see that could be improved in the app as well.
So Bala's first verdict is that a thumbs up. You said the government got it right at the first on the first go. I bring in Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu, do you agree? Is it a thumbs up? Has the government got it right on its first go?
You know, to a large extent, if you're measuring by governmental website standards, which we know at least till a few years ago were pretty poor, I would agree with Bala to some extent that maybe not by commercial standards, but by Sarkari standards, it's impressive, it works. I like the fact that unlike many other apps which want everything from access to your photos, to your calendar, to things they have no business asking access for, this app keeps it simple, only asks very basic things. So it's not like the government is trying to use this as an excuse to get all sorts of data on you. So it's nice that they've kept it simple. It is a bit slow. I have a higher end handset, so I'm not feeling the lag too much, but I have some more fundamental issues with the design and the setup and some of the concepts behind it, which is why I'm not using it. Maybe we can discuss it after you ask some of the other guests. But overall, I would tend to agree with Bala that by Sarkari standards, pretty good. By commercial standards, not yet really there. And at the end of the day, you are competing with commercial products as well. The NCPI is technically a standalone body.
Abhimanyu, let's compare it to commercial products here, because this entire move really, this is a different government we're dealing with. This is a different kind of of mandate that we're dealing with. So we're not comparing it really with the EPFO website, which would be an example of one of those government websites that we're talking about that tends to be fuddy-duddy and old school. But tell me, as a user of, as an avid user of your phone, would this be your preferred mode of money transfer? Would this be your preferred mode of payment if the bugs are fixed? Let's assume the bugs are fixed.
No, even if the bugs are fixed, that's a fair question, Faye. I think for an early adopter like me, I've already sort of logged into a few other platforms where I'm so comfortable that now to move on to a new platform, there really has to be something significantly, value add that this provides, which others don't. Currently, I'm not really sure. Paytm is decent in terms of quickly transferring money. I've used it pretty smoothly. I've been using, although the NEFT and IMPS system is a bit laborious because you have to know the other guy's account number, then authenticate it once, and the beneficiary gets added. There's half an hour lag depending on which bank you're working with. So it is a little laborious. If UPI becomes really widespread, I may change. But the problem is nobody else has UPI. So who am I going to transfer to? Even if I'm the early adopter and I quickly install it, get my UPI account and tell somebody, hey, wire me some money at Abhi at HDFC bank, and nobody knows how to do it. It's a little pointless right now. It's like MySpace. It'll sort of become a vast wasteland of lots of people having accounts but nobody really talking to each other on that. So that's to me really the uphill task, which is that even if I do install UPI, nobody's really asking me for a payment via that. Sure, they're asking for NEFT and IMPS payments, but the real kick comes when somebody just tells me their UPI ID as easily as they tell me an email ID or a mobile number for Paytm. I don't think we're there yet by a very long stretch.
Right, as I bring in Vijay Mukhi and Viren Shah, there are a couple of problems here. Obviously, those people who are already online, who are using, Vijay Mukhi, people who are already online using things like Paytm, using things like net banking are going to sample and then possibly try this out and realize that it's a good thing. But my concern is the fact that it's only available in 2 languages, in Hindi and in English. A large population of our country is unable to read both of these languages to begin with. How do we get the people who are not transferring money by their mobiles already to move on to this platform? Because that's the point of this. Will it solve that problem, Vijay Mukhi?
Well, I think there's a more basic problem. It doesn't work on the iPhone also, and I only have an iPhone. So people who have the Apple iPhone, they can't use the BHIM app. But I think in the long run, Mr. Modi actually has a master stroke, for the simple reason that I believe that most e-wallets will now close down, because there's really no reason for, let's say, maybe a Paytm may survive, but the other the other e-wallets, why should they survive? Because all that you need to do is, if I, let's say, put in money in Paytm, then my money is blocked in Paytm. But if I have, let's say, an ICICI Bank pockets, then my money is not blocked. And I think that if you go to reach out to vast sections of India, then Hindi, English doesn't do. You have to do it in regional languages. One reason why there's not enough computer literacy in India is because we don't use regional languages.
Right. Viren Shah, how often do people come to stores offering to make a payment on the BHIM app?
Zero.
Okay.
Because most of the people uses the credit card and the debit card. Just lately, after the demonetization, a lot of people have started using the Paytm. But to ask for somebody to pay by BHIM, because not many people are aware of it. Paytm, because millions of rupees of advertisement they are spending. They are marketed well. People know about that application. People are, a lot of education is there through the Paytm. So people are using Paytm because it's become a brand. And Mr. Modi himself is brand ambassador for Paytm. So government should start doing same thing for the BHIM and get popularized.
More awareness is necessary for BHIM. That's your fundamental grouse there. Okay. Ritesh Bhatia, I haven't asked you your verdict. Is that thumbs up or thumbs down then for BHIM?
Well, I'm a bit kind of, I would say, neutral on it, because for the moment, I mean, if you ask me as a cybersecurity expert, I would say it's extremely secured. It's got 3 levels of security. Firstly, it's bound to your mobile and the SIM, your mobile device and SIM. Secondly, you have a passcode, and then third, again, the MPIN. So, and overall, it's a very clean interface as such. But yes, in terms of their servers, or in terms of infrastructure, it's pathetic.
Why is it pathetic?
No, I mean, if you just try it out, you're not going to get it in one stroke. What happens is, it's your phone. Your phone gets connected to the UPI. UPI connects to the bank, and bank back to the UPI, and again to the phone. So even if one of the servers is down or if the bank is going slow, it affects everything.
Right. Let me bring in Hitesh Jain and Sanjay Jha, who have been waiting patiently and hearing everybody's arguments so far. Hitesh Jain and Sanjay Jha. Hitesh Jain, 3 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down. The general view is that there needs to be more awareness. There needs to be more accessibility on this app. But most of our panel agrees that from a design point of view, the app is doing quite well.
Well, it is good to hear some positive comments also in terms of feature, speed and security. And this is a very good panelist, and Vijay Mukhi is particularly, I'm aware he has done a lot of work in the cyber this thing also, and I'm sure people like him will also look at app from time to time, and they will keep on giving us the suggestions as to how we can make the app better. That is precisely. So it's heartening to see such comment. Also, the answer lies when you feature basic and simple features, speed and security. You can see more than 10 million downloads that is happening. So, and another thing what is happening is now we are talking about BHIM. We are also talking about cards. I mean, Viren Shah also mentioned that a lot of people are now talking about cards in the store. People are talking about Paytm. So basically, you have to look at overall where the attempt of the government is to make society tax compliant, and the basic aim behind the demonetization to make the society tax compliant, and to attack the parallel economy and bring the financial inclusion in the mainstream economy. So this is one of the step of the government, which is also an effort from the side of the government to encourage people, as you rightly mentioned, to move towards a less cash transition.
Sanjay Jha.
Faye, I have a fundamental problem with the government that believes that the only way to obliterate black money is to thrust a cashless economy on its citizens. I believe that financial inclusion is an evolutionary process. Now, there is no denying that as you move and become more digitalized, you do reduce, degree of opaqueness and bring in transparency. But let's face some hard realities. You'll be aware, Faye, that in October, you had roughly a theft of debit card data, which was roughly 32 million data or account holders' private information. Now, in a country where, you still have, in India, even as we talk today, despite demonetization and the Paytm promotion that Mr. Modi has done, the truth is over 90% of commercial or business transactions are done by cash. And I dare say that, they are not black money marketers at all. The truth is, and this is the hard reality, you don't have data privacy laws in the country. You have some cyber security experts. You can ask them, as
so,
to
Sanjay
what
Jha, are you saying it can't be done, or are you saying we're not ready?
But let me tell you that at a sophisticated level, everything can be hacked into. No, Faye, the point I'm making is that I don't think the BHIM app, for all whatever the technical finesse it has or it doesn't, can substitute the reality that end of day there are alternatives in the market. But more importantly, cash is a reality that we just can't wash away. You have how many? I mean, you have roughly 20% of the people with smartphones. Internet connectivity is not more than with 200 million people in the country. You have literacy levels at around 72%, which is 28%, a long haul yet ahead of us. But for the government to try and believe that you can make the economy cashless by making everyone mandatorily go and do credit transactions or debit transactions or app-based transactions is extremely unfair on those who don't have enough digital literacy or financial knowledge. And I think, therefore, this whole attempt is to try and somehow, and I think we are barking up the wrong tree.
All right. So let's take those forward. I want to ask Vijay Mukhi this question. Vijay Mukhi, now we talked about design, and there was a general consensus that the design is good. But my question to you is this: will you transfer money on this app? Will you use the app to conduct business, or to make payments, or to buy things?
To be honest, no.
Why
I
not?
don't use online transactions because I don't believe they're safe. Now, I agree with what Mr. Modi is saying, that we need to go cashless. What I disagree with what Mr. Modi is doing is use the digital form of doing so. Let me give you an example. I'm holding a 2,000 rupee note in my hand. Now, nobody who's watching this program knows who gave me this money, and if I give it to someone, it's not written on this money. Now, thanks to Bitcoin-like technology that we call cryptocurrency, you can actually make this note now intelligent, you can make it programmable. It's what we call smart money. Now, if the government introduces this, then we won't have a cyber security problem. What Mr. Sanjay Jha said was very right. He mentioned 32 lakh debit cards. I'm saying that the Russians hacked into the US Democratic Party and changed the fate of an election. So cybersecurity is a problem worldwide, but if we use technology...
So hang on. Let me get this. Get this straight, and I'm just for the benefit of our viewers going to repeat what you said. You're a cybersecurity expert who says you would rather use cash than do any other kind of online payment because you believe that no online payment, whether it's on your computer or through net banking or through credit card online, none of this is safe. Least of all, you're saying the mobile phone.
Well, what I'm saying is, what you're saying is right, but if tomorrow the government introduced a cryptocurrency in India, then that's what I would use.
No, in an ideal situation, yes, but I'm talking about the situation we have right now. I'm a citizen who regularly uses net banking, and you're telling me that none of this is safe, that only cash is safe right now?
Well, I have gone through bad experiences, and that also with people like Amazon.
Mr. Mukhi, a major Bitcoin repository got hacked as well. So where's the guarantee that cryptocurrency is safe either?
No, I mean, see, I'm saying Bitcoin itself has not been hacked since it was invented.
It's going a little bit too much to say that.
If your wallets and if the Bitcoin stock exchanges have poor security, I don't think we can blame Bitcoin.
Do you believe the BHIM app is safe? Vijay Mukhi, do you believe the BHIM app is safe?
Well, I haven't used it, but anything on the mobile phone can be hacked.
Anything on the mobile phone can be hacked. You don't believe it's safe. Bala Parthasarathi, do you agree? Do you want to take that view on?
I don't agree. I think there is a trade-off between convenience and safety. So obviously there is nothing 100% safe. If Hillary Clinton's emails can get hacked, anything can get hacked. But the question is, what is the cost and is it worth it? The notion of cryptocurrency is interesting, but think of the backlash.
No, but I'm going to ask our panelists to, for the time being, leave cryptocurrency out of this discussion because I'll tell you honestly, for my viewers, and we try to keep this simple, the BHIM app is complicated enough.
Too much fancy. That's like another 20 years away.
Let's just keep it to the BHIM app. And my concern here is we have an entire country who's already nervous. I know my parents are nervous about using online net banking payments, and if we're telling them that all of this is unsafe, they're just going to go back into their shells. So I'm very concerned. We're coming from a voice like Vijay Mukhi telling us that this is unsafe. So if you don't agree, Bala, why not?
Yeah, I don't agree because I think it's safe enough. That's what I would say. However, I do have sort of 3 concrete suggestions on how to take this to the next step. Number 1 is that I think they should, your panel talked about how to make this popular. And one thing is to make the exchange, the commission that every merchant pays. I think Mr. Modi should come out and declare that to be 0 for the next 3 years. Because whether it's Paytm or all these other wallets, at some point of time they'll start charging for it.
They've already started charging.
But I think if a merchant is guaranteed for the next few years, they don't have to pay any commission. They don't have to pay a MDR, they call it, a commission to the debit card or use a credit card. Then I think that's one way to make a BHIM or a BHIM-like app very popular. The second suggestion I would have is that Mr. Modi should make all the government departments accept UPI within the next 60 days. Because that is something directly in their control. So if the government itself doesn't accept it, then I don't think how other people will start accepting it. And my third comment on the BHIM app is that while the BHIM app is remarkably good, and if you recall, Mr. Obama, when he launched the Obamacare, the healthcare in the US a few years ago, it was a total disaster despite of hundreds of millions of dollars that the government spent on it, the US government spent on it. So by those standards, I think the NPCI has got this right on the first try. So I would say it's a big kudos to them. Having said that, I don't think government should be in the business of building apps. At the end of the day, they can only go so far. So what they should do is to make BHIM sort of a reference application and let entrepreneurs and other people work within the framework, within the security framework, but let them innovate and create the best app possible. Still on UPI.
Well,
so those would be my 3
honest,
concrete suggestions
you haven't
on how to make
reinstated
this
my
popular,
confidence.
And how to get people to use it.
You haven't reinstated my confidence because you said safe enough instead of saying safe. You said, first of all, there's a trade-off between convenience and safety. This is safe enough. And you also compared it to the total disaster that was Obamacare and saying, by that yardstick, it's not too bad. So if you're asking me to put my hard-earned money into something, I'd want it to be more than just safe enough and little better than a disaster. Abhimanyu and then Viren Shah. Abhimanyu, go ahead.
I empathize with Mr. Mukhi because as a tech journalist, when you speak to cybersecurity experts, they are in the business of being paranoid, and all of them are ultra paranoid. In fact, the true blue hackers in the US don't travel with their real ID. They book hotel names under different identifications, and they're forever in a cat and mouse game to cover up their tracks, which is good because they do it as professionals. So I don't think people like your folks or you and I really need that level of paranoia. They need it because they're professionals. They themselves are always trying to be hacked so that somebody can caucus snook at them. So, I would say that that's extreme level of paranoia. Of course, the other extreme level of please use everything digital is also not a great idea. My philosophy personally, and this is related to the BHIM issue, is that I want to see what the downside is. Downside of a credit card transaction being faked or somebody misusing my credit card, I call up the bank and say, hey, this was not me. I'm not paying this transaction in the bill. Do what you want. We'll see you in court. And 90% of credit card guys, if they know you're genuine, will not chase you. It's not worth their while. But it's their money at risk, not yours. I never use net banking or debit cards to the same transaction because if something goes wrong, it's my money at risk. I'm going around chasing the bank and begging them to return my money. So from that perspective, I personally did not like the fact that the BHIM app is only allowing you to use bank accounts connected to the phone number on that particular phone, because I do not connect my registered mobile numbers which are connected to my bank accounts via a smartphone. They're both on SIM cards which are in a dumb phone. So, ideally I don't want them to be able to be accessed by any app. I purely use them like you would use a key. The OTP comes there. I key in the OTP either in, on my desktop or my app, because I want to be a little paranoid where my own money is concerned. My credit card account, I happily let the OTPs come in on my smartphone. Even if they do get hacked, as I said, it's okay. The risk is on the credit card company's side. So,
in all fairness, you're sounding just as paranoid as Vijay Mukhi at this point.
Only the phone number on that smartphone is the one that you can use.
You're sounding just as paranoid as Vijay Mukhi.
Credit card, I'm very happy to read out my credit
which
card
is fair. When we're talking about our money, when we're talking,
do what they want with it.
When we're talking about our money, it's completely fair for us to be as paranoid as possible because we work very hard for this money. Hitesh Jain wanted to come in, and after which I want to bring in Viren Shah on the whole MDR issue. Hitesh Jain, go ahead.
Yeah, see, as regards hacking is mentioned, if you are aware, the films used to be distributed in the manual system. Then you started digital and see the volumes of transaction. You have the hacking, but one has seen that the digital medium of distribution has been one of the most successful medium. Today, like 5 days before, some 20,000 websites were hacked. So does that mean that we will stop using the internet? So, hackers will always be there. But at the end of the day, we have to see what is the comfort and what is the discomfort. And so far as cyber security, as someone mentioned, these people will continue to have their paranoia. But at the end of the day, the answer is how do you introduce digital? If credit card, debit card, internet, if you think by that logic, then tomorrow in the 60s and 70s, the banks used to be attacked in the rural area by the dacoits and all. That does not mean that you do not stop setting up banks in that area. So I guess as the hackers will have some ideas, I guess there are solutions to the hacking also, and people like Vijay Mukhi and all who have been in this area are, I think, competent enough to come with the solutions if there are hackers in the system. So I think as far as we are concerned, this is like only one of the system. Now, as far as the technology relevant is concerned, the SBI has also come with one of the app which is relevant on USSD.
Actually, Hitesh Jain, before I get Vijay Mukhi to respond to you,
you can use that to make the payment.
Before I get Vijay Mukhi to respond to you, answer those questions. The fact that it's only available in English and Hindi. Most of the South will not be able to read either of those two languages. Most of the East of India will not be able to read either of those two languages. What about people who can only read Marathi or, who can only read Tamil, Telugu, Kannada? I could go on. They've been entirely left out. That's my first point. My second point is India has the largest population of completely illiterate adults in the world. How are they going to get onto this? 55,000 villages in India do not have mobile coverage right now. There is a large group of rural homes that don't have internet, that don't have electricity coming into their homes. So those are also problems that need to be solved. While the people on this panel, let's be honest, are a very small group of early adopters who spend time and energy trying to find out what's the cool thing out there. What about the rest of India, Hitesh Jain?
Okay. Now, as far as the rest of India is concerned, USSD is the application, the technique, which is the solution for non-smartphone people. As far as electricity is mentioned, the Prime Minister acknowledged that 18,000 villages in India had a problem there. There was no electrification done. The process started. Close to 13,000 villages have been covered by way of electrifications. As far as other things, other solutions are concerned, the banking, there is something called mobile banking services that have been started, where the bankers, the banker friendly or the banker people, bank mitra people and all, they are visiting the people, they are taking their own technology, they are helping people to go use the digital system or whatever cashless system. So this is a process where all the efforts are taken, and when all the efforts will be collectively taken, then only you are able to get a success as far as vision of making India a less cash economy.
Sanjay Jha, you wanted to rebut? Go ahead.
Faye, yeah, I want to just tell my friend from the BJP that it's only the paranoid who survive. And let me tell you why I have a principal argument, Faye, with the entire objective of getting into this accelerated zone of making India into a cashless economy. Let's look at one classic example of Japan. Japan has roughly 3 times more cash transactions as a proportion of GDP than India has. And yet, they are nowhere in comparison to us where corruption or black money is concerned. So the whole hypothesis that just because there are cash volumes, you are necessarily going to have black money is a huge exaggeration. But coming down to the more critical point, I'm glad you raised it, Faye, that while this is an urban debate, the truth is that you have to make your services convenient because you're a government. And I feel the government has to extend its services, its public delivery of whatever promises it makes more to those who need it. And if you look at rural India, as you rightly said, do you have the digital infrastructure in India today? The truth is we don't. I mean, we are still talking about 2G, maximum 3G standards. You don't have enough smartphones. 20% of the people have smartphones. Internet connectivity is hugely erratic. And let's not even get into the literacy argument. This is a Herculean task. Now, I think the way to handle that is through some incremental steps, and where you can, please make spectacular leaps. But the way this government is actually creating this whole climate that everybody needs to go in a digital cashless mode, I think you are putting huge pressure on people who are not going to be aware of how to conduct those transactions. You can end up with a monumental mess on your hands.
Let me give Vijay Mukhi and Ritesh Bhatia an opportunity to rebut.
That end of day, you need data privacy and you need cybersecurity.
Can I make one quick rebuttal?
Okay, Hitesh Jain, go ahead very quickly.
Just quickly 2 points. One, if we are illiterate and we do not have digital infrastructure, then that is the report card of Congress. When the world was progressing from 2004 to 2014, and people are still with the technology and with all the resources, if country is illiterate, then it speaks volume on their contribution. And if digital infrastructure, they should have set the
Okay, all right. You made your 2 points. I want to bring in Vijay Mukhi.
BJP opposed
still
computers.
Discussing the report card of the
BJP opposed computers.
Gentlemen, 1 second. I want to bring in Vijay Mukhi and then Bala Parthisarthi. Vijay Mukhi, unfortunately, you were called paranoid. But the truth is that we've done one entire circle of conversation. I'm still not now confident about... I'm still not confident about net banking after what you said to me. I'm not sure if I want, my parents to get onto net banking or anybody else's parents, because they tend to be very gullible. Someone might call them and ask them for their PIN. They might hand it over. So where do we stand now that you've heard all of the arguments? You've heard Bala speak. He said it's safe enough. Do you believe safe enough is enough?
Well, I just like to clarify one thing. I may be paranoid, but I sleep very well at night. I don't check under my bed if somebody is hiding or not. And I believe that we should go digital, we should go cashless. I'm saying we should.
So you believe everybody else should, but you wouldn't want to?
No, I was going to, like Bala said, enough. I'm using the word but.
Okay.
Now, for example, we have a debit card. I never do a transaction with the debit card because it doubles up as an ATM card. Now, in Europe, every debit card has a PIN, which means that even God can't clone that debit card. In India, the day we have a debit card that has a PIN, I will start using it. The second thing is that we do not have a cyber security infrastructure. Nothing stops the government from preparing one, but they are not. So I'm saying you get all this done, and I will start using online transactions also.
Okay, Ritesh Bhatia, I know that you're working with the police in Mumbai, at least on cyber security right now.
I just want to tell Mr.
Yes. Bala, I'll come to you. But I just want to bring in Ritesh Bhatia here on the angle of cyber security. What kind of infrastructure do we have within the police force at this point? Let's assume I make a payment, it doesn't go through because of the internet connection or whatever reason, and I feel like I've lost some money. Do you believe that there is a strong enough system outside of Mumbai to handle those problems?
Absolutely not. The kind of infrastructure we have, the kind of police officers, in the sense of their knowledge or their expertise, we are far behind. We are far behind as such. And coming to your question, Faye, about you being paranoid, it's basically whenever you get a new thing, it's your responsibility also to understand it and be careful about it. So like when we had WhatsApp, okay, we initially thought, can we use it or not? Now today, even a driver, even a maid is able to use WhatsApp. So it's not about being paranoid, it's about being very careful. So how do you become careful? So there is something called as an awareness, and I particularly feel so that the government of India as well as the banks, they need to do a lot of awareness campaigns which is missing.
All right, Abhimanyu?
At a broader level, not, you might accuse me of being on the BJP's side on this one, so I'm not going to bring up that thing of 60 years of Congress rule, but there was a missed opportunity when countries like Kenya and some African countries approached this whole problem from the mobile infrastructure perspective rather than from the banking perspective. So they, the whole Kenya M-Pesa example is that instead of depending on banks to go to rural places and dissipate, they just said that, okay, we'll let the mobile companies be banks to a certain extent, 10,000, 20,000, whatever the limit you want. And we're just about coming around to that whole concept by licensing payment banks, still nowhere there. So, in terms of dissipation, this should have been done the other way around, not bank-led, but telecom-led or mobile company-led. That's where you could have really had on one SMS, illiterate people transferring money back and forth to each other, which I think was from a policy perspective a lost opportunity. Now that we have BHIM, and that's what we are discussing, forget the fact that nobody is using the UPI right now. I think the government maybe should incentivize the use of the UPI. Like, even if you don't have anything to do on Paytm in terms of sending money back and forth, at least Paytm has given you some sort of an e-commerce store where if you have some free Paytm cash lying around, you can at least go there and buy something, do something with your Paytm credits, even if you don't ever bring it back into the banking system. So I don't know, maybe Bala has some ideas on the app side, maybe that 1,50,000 or 15,000 which was promised to all of us in our accounts after the black money came back, maybe it can be in BHIM money and we can, buy some even virtual stuff, something to incentivize you to use it. The huge incentive to use WhatsApp was that SMS was free, no charges for messaging. So it was very clear why everybody wanted to switch from SMS to WhatsApp. What's the big incentive to use BHIM beyond just transferring money? Maybe something has to be set up. Maybe even the IRCTC can be integrated into it. Maybe, as Bala said, government department payments, something to make people realize, okay, this is something that I can do, which I cannot on other platforms.
Right. Well, if they're going to integrate the Indian Railways website, the incentive would be to make that website faster and to actually have it allow bookings when you want to make bookings. That would be a huge incentive to use this app. But I want to ask Viren Shah, the question of MDR popped up. The fact that you've been battling MDR for a while right now, which is what the merchants have to pay, shopkeepers have to pay for the use of the POS machine. Do you believe that if MDR is waived off, or if there are some sort of merchant discounts on BHIM, that you will encourage your customers to use it more?
Yes, surely it will definitely give a positive effect, and I agree with, at least government is trying to do the digitalize. They are bringing this application. These are all good things. But what about the mindset of the people? At the end of the day, people, if there is a choice between a credit card, debit card or a Paytm or a cash, people would like to take out a cash. Because right now, they are forced to get pay by Paytm or a debit card or credit card because not enough cash is available with them. So mindset is very important. It's not about establishment. It is not about the shopkeepers, it is about the people's mindset. So,
Viren, here's my question to you. Now, let's assume that the cash takes a couple of months to get back into the system. Do you believe at the end of that couple of months, customers will be so used to using Paytm that, or mobile apps or online payments that they'll just stay that way? Or do you think they will revert back to cash because that's what they're comfortable with?
Yes. all over the India, people are very, very safe when they want to pay cash because they are safest way of paying. At the same time, obviously, people who do not want to show too much of expenses. That's why they want to pay by the cash. So all these digitalized formation will work. Obviously, there will be an increase in the form of the payment of the digital for the establishment and for the customer. But at the end of the day, cash will come back into the transaction. Only government can win in this battle is reduce the income tax so that people will start spending cash or credit card or Paytm. Does not make any difference. A lot of tax will come to them. People will still stop getting black money into the market.
Vijay Mukhi, I'm just very curious, going to ask you one question. If you believe that there's no safe online payment and you prefer to use only cash, how have you gotten through the last 2 months?
Well, very simple, but let me take a practical example. I'm not blaming the government of India or the Congress party for this thing. I'm saying I've had an experience with Citibank and Amazon. The two of them are not Indian companies. When, for example, you make a payment from Amazon to Citibank, that's happened to me. It was 1,800 rupees. Citibank confirmed the payment, Amazon declined it. That's because there's a fundamental flaw in online payments. When Citibank sent Amazon the confirmation, it didn't wait for Amazon to come back and tell Citibank that I made this, that I have received this payment. Now, unless we don't solve this fundamental problem, nothing to do with the current government, nothing to do with the previous government, I'm saying we need to do lots of things before I feel safe. Okay, now to answer your question.
Yes.
I withdraw money from my bank account and I spend it because today, whether you buy online or offline, the prices are the same.
No, my question was, how did you get through the last 2 months when there was no money to withdraw from your bank account?
Okay, well, I had enough money legally.
All right. I want to bring in Bala Parthasarathy. Bala, very, very important points being made at this juncture. Yes, merchants need to be incentivized, but Viren brought up a very interesting idea that behavioral patterns need to be changed. We need to mentally, as Indians, become comfortable with moving money that's not tangible, that we can't count and touch and feel and lock up in our cupboards. Do you believe that this BHIM app is the way to do that?
I think we tend to underestimate, tend to think that, this technology is all for city people and, the Aam Aadmi will continue to do what they're doing. But I think that's a fallacy and, honestly, we're being a little bit condescending. The truth is, people will do stuff which is convenient. We've seen it over and over again, whether with use of apps, use of mobile phones in the first place, right? I remember my dad used to think that mobile phones are for sort of these fancy kids until he saw sort of our local pujari, who doesn't wear a shirt, but he's using a phone. So the truth is, technology is for everybody, and it's up to us technologists to make it easier and easier. Just to touch on one point on the sleeping safely, I use only net banking even before UPI and all this demonetization. I've slept very soundly for several years, but I'm very glad that we have people like your other panelists who are very concerned about safety there, because they are the ones who make the system safer and safer. So it's good to have paranoid people. You want your cybersecurity experts to be very, very paranoid, because otherwise, the safety standards will keep on going lower instead of going higher. So I'm happy about that.
All right, it's good to have paranoid people. Abhimanyu, I want to circle back to one more point, and then I'll bring in Sanjay Jha as well. Abhimanyu, the fact that several cabinet ministers and members of the government have been tweeting saying 10 million downloads on the BHIM app is a massive achievement. 10 million is a large number, granted. It's not a very large number in comparison to our entire population in this country. But would you say that that's the achievement, the number of people downloading the app, or should it be the number of people actually using the app?
Yeah, I mean, see, metrics are always, you can game them whichever way you want. So I'm just looking at some of the other metrics from the App Store itself. So right now, at least my App Store is saying 5 million, but usually this resets after a few days. So maybe because they know the actual figures as developers, it's crossed the 10 million mark. It might only reflect on the Android Play Store in a few days. So although it's, let's take their word for it that it is 10 million. About 160,000 people have rated it. So that's less than about a 1 in 100 have bothered to give it a rating, which means a lot of those downloads may just have been people who downloaded it and didn't even bother actually using it and following it up with a rating. Now, typically when an app with 160,000 ratings gets 4 stars, the bell curve is that you'll have the maximum number of people in 4s and 3s, number in 5, and then a few 2s and 1s in a very Gaussian sort of a style. Here you have about 1 lakh people giving it 5 stars. But the next highest is another 30,000 people giving it 1 star. And if you see many of these 5-star ratings, they're like 7 complaints, but at the end it says, but we are big fans of Modi ji, so I'm giving it 5 stars. So, and it could be the reverse. Even many of these 1-star guys could be just, people making a political statement with that star rating rather than an actual review. So it's very hard to say, but there are 25,000 1-star ratings, which means that sure, people do have issues, and many of the people who have given it 5 stars have actually listed at least 10 errors in the app. So I think we should be a little wary about taking that 10 million figure at face value, because a one-time download is great, but as Bala said, as an app company founder, he knows that the biggest issue is retention rates in the apps. How many people are going to use it after a month? My sense is it'll be less than 1% in this particular case.
Right. I want to bring in Venugopal and then I'll come to you, Sanjay Jha. Venugopal is on the phone line from Bangalore. Venugopal, thank you for calling us. Tell us, are you using the BHIM app? If not, why not?
Yes. Yes, I'm using, I have recently downloaded and did some transaction also. Okay. So I was actually listening to the show and I got a big question. So I have an account with HDFC and I have a HDFC app also where I do transfers. So if anything happens, like if a transaction fails, I can go to my branch and ask about this failure, and if there is any problem, they'll correct it. But if on a BHIM app, if a transaction fails and if money goes out of my account and if it is not credited to the other account, whom should I contact? We know that if I have to go to the government and ask, there is a lot of delay in any of the tasks. So in this case of a money where the BHIM is launched by a government, and if anything fails for a failures, who is responsible? Is it a bank or is it a government?
Not bank.
And who will pay the money back?
This is one question that nobody can answer, because assuming you're in Bangalore and you make a payment to me in Mumbai and the app is written by the government of India, would you file a police complaint in Mumbai, in Delhi or in Bangalore? That's a question nobody's been able to ask, because it could be the bank's fault, it could be the app's fault, it could be the telephone service provider's fault.
There is an answer to this question.
All right, Bala, go ahead.
Actually, there's a simple answer. It's not that complicated. You should go to HDFC. The app is just an interface, remember. The money is going through the same channel. Just so you understand about how BHIM works. It uses the IMPS channel. UPI is just a layer on top of IMPS. And IMPS has been working for at least 2 years now extremely well. So you would do, just like you do a IMPS or NEFT, what happens when that fails? You go to your bank. And same way you'll go to HDFC, to answer your question, Mr. Venugopal.
But Vijay, going back to your Amazon example, it's very likely that between the two banks, there's some money that will slip through the cracks.
No. Here, for example, I'm dealing with the BHIM app. Now, the BHIM app is supposed to send the packet to HDFC or whoever. I'm not dealing with HDFC directly. Yes. Now, what if the BHIM app didn't send it because the network failed? So there are a million questions that come in here. So I don't believe there's an easy answer. So what the government needs to do is say, whenever there's a problem like this, talk to one central authority. They will handle everything.
All right. Ritesh?
See, almost all banks have come up with their UPI apps. So what is the greatest advantage that I shift to BHIM app?
So I can do, what you're saying is I can do exactly what this app can do within the net banking app of my own bank.
Yes, and answering to the question of my friend from Bangalore, I mean, he would feel much safer to use the HDFC Bank's UPI rather than doing this, because if in any case, if something happens, at least he knows to go to the bank. Like in case of let me tell you about your producer only. While he was using the UPI, I mean, people are saying we are paranoid. No, we are not paranoid. We just have an investigative kind of personality, So what I did was just shoulder surfing, and if I just get his mobile phone right now, you have no idea how much of money I can transfer. I know the limit is 10,000 rupees, but I can do that.
No, so what you're saying is basically, you said a lot of things that my audience is not going to understand. You said shoulder surfing, which means you lean over the person's shoulder and actually look at what the key is that the pin is that he's keyed into his app.
It's just a 4-digit pin.
It's a 4-digit pin.
So you're saying 4-digit is so easy to check it out.
You looked over my producer's shoulder, you saw the pin that he was keying in, and if you have access to his phone, you can transfer money to your bank account.
To my bank account.
In 5 minutes.
Exactly. And the thing is, you know, adding to Vijay sir's experience of Amazon, I mean, I had a similar experience with one of the retailers wherein I swiped my card and the money got debited from my account, but it didn't come to his account. And when I called the bank says, look, we are going to put it in a dispute and we are going to take 90 days for it. So if that's the kind of infrastructure or the regulatory things are there, I'd rather not use. I mean, I decided I don't want to do anything now. It's better I go withdraw cash and I hand it over to him.
All right,
so it's not about being paranoid. It's about how, look at the systems. They're so slow.
Abhi?
In defense of BHIM, it's a fair question to say that if the net banking app or the mobile banking app that you anyway use with your bank is already installed on your phone, why would you want a BHIM to connect the same bank back to your UPI? It's a fair question. My answer to that, which I said at the start of the show, is that I'm very impressed that BHIM is asking for very, very little data, as little as needed from your smartphone. Those are the only permissions they're asking. This is a big issue with apps. I have no idea why some of the mobile banking apps want access to my camera, want access to my contacts, want access to a dozen other things which they have no business to ask.
But Abhimanyu, you know, you can always revoke those permissions.
I'm comfortable with BHIM because it seems to be asking for just 2 permissions, which are...
Right.
90% of people, Ritesh, I agree with you, will not. They'll just say yes, accept and go through with it. So at least on that count, BHIM is a little safer because it's asking you to put 2 permissions. You don't have to go and individually revoke across.
All right, let me just bring in Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, we've heard all of these arguments.
Yes, I'm just giving you one example that the default state of BHIM is a little safer than the default state of most mobile banking apps.
If anything, this entire panel not only has discouraged me from getting on BHIM, it has discouraged me from using net banking. Sanjay Jha, and purely as citizens at this point, purely as citizens at this point, are we not ready for any of this?
You know, Faye, I believe that, we are missing the woods for the trees, honestly. We can get into all the technical details of the complexities of how to make something look sexy and more effective transactionally. But what is the truth? The truth is that even today, we have roughly around 65% of people of our country who are not formally in the banking system. Now, there is a lot of talk about Jan Dhan Yojana. You might have read in today's Indian Express how bankers have actually fictitiously put their own money into the bank so that they are not looked upon as a zero bank account.
Sanjay Jha, just to rebut what you're saying, isn't an app like BHIM or isn't online or mobile the way to battle that 64% not being part of the formal banking system? Because the formal banking system has not been geographically, physically able to reach these people. So then isn't mobile telephony the way to do it?
Well, let me tell you, what you are expecting of them is to actually make a double leap into one, understanding the nature of their banking transactions, the balances, interest rate, withdrawals, deposits, the way they earn, the kind of overdrafts they may have to pay, and then link it to a technology application. Now, I think this is where I believe that you can't make that leap until you have the essentials of banking in place. Now, you have today a situation, and you raised some issue on the number of downloads, etc. You have a government today, and I want to make this statement because it is very critical, where the data itself that is emerging from the government is being considered highly questionable and suspect. The RBI is not even disclosing how much of the money has come back. They don't want to let you know who took the decision of demonetization. There are fundamental problems at the moment. So end of day, when people talk of downloads, etc., I believe these are wild numbers being thrown up in the air. End of day, I think people in this country are still going to use ATMs, credit and debit cards. We have barely 2 crore credit card holders. I think until you get your fundamentals in place, you can't really embark on this wild goose chase of making the entire country on a cashless economy. I think we'll end up somewhere having a serious regulatory problem, a literacy problem, which will ultimately boomerang on us.
All right.
I'm sorry, but I need to be Cassandra.
I have a minute or so for closing arguments, but this is where we are. A couple of our panelists believe it's unsafe. A few others believe it's safe enough. Sanjay Jha, still at the starting line, not convinced to the entire process of demonetization at all. Closing arguments, Bala Parthasarathy, has Vijay Mogi put you off net banking as well? Has he convinced you otherwise?
Yeah.
Not at all. Just one point on the taking a leap forward, and one minor point about the BHIM itself is that there is a fingerprint reader for a merchant as well. So somebody can walk in with their Aadhaar card and put their fingerprint even without an app or a smartphone, and still take advantage of get digital. But I do think fundamentally that just like we didn't go and install landlines for 100 crore people and then get them onto cell phones. I think we went directly from landlines to cell phones. So I think this is one of those kind of moments where we go directly from, half the country doesn't have ATM access, so on and so forth, but we're going to go directly and leapfrog into the world of mobile and digital. So I'm a big proponent of this. Having said that, I think the government should encourage other companies, banks and other companies to develop these kind of apps and not think that BHIM is the end answer. But as a concept, it's a fantastic start. And for a government app, it's very, very good, I would say. And it's all 12 days since launch. So we still have a long way to go.
Viren?
I think the digital eye is going to stay. All these credit card payment, debit card payment, Paytm, BHIM, it's all going to stay. See, the very important part is that, let's say, bookmyshow.com or make my trip. These are the very, very important part where people, almost out of 10, 9 people use this because to go in the queue for the movie or to buy a flight tickets. These are the most easiest and the fastest way to book the things. And I think these are going to work and it's going to stay.
Okay, it's going to stay. I'm going to give Vijay the last word here. A few seconds. Go ahead.
Okay. The last words, I think we should go cashless. We should go digital. There is newer technology available. We're not using that technology. And I think we should focus more on the bigger transactions, the bigger fish, and not the 50, 100 rupees transactions because they are expensive to do with digital, cheaper to do with cash.
All right. We have to close. I have to close this discussion, but it's been very enlightening. Obviously, BHIM is good. We all agree in the manner in which it's designed. It's intuitive, it's clean, it's welcoming for someone who doesn't like complex apps. This is something that seems inviting. But we need to also educate an entire population on how to do these things right. Simple stuff like telling people don't give out your PIN to someone who calls you on the phone and says, give me your banking PIN. That kind of education needs to happen, especially when it comes to the BHIM app that don't allow, for example, cybersecurity experts to look over your shoulder when you're keying in your PIN number, because that's how people get your PIN. And then if they have your phone, they can access all of your money. That kind of simple education needs to be put out before we expect our entire population to start using apps like this. Also, incentives need to be provided to merchants and to everybody else to encourage people to use these apps. We're going to keep a close eye on how the BHIM app does and if those 10 million people actually begin using it and how successfully they manage to do so. But in the meantime, thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.